Hey everyone, today we're going to be going with a translated classic. That is, Shen Fu and Six Records of a Floating Life. These are accounts written by a Qing Dynasty bureaucrat in southern China. Essentially, it starts off with some details of his life, some of the happy times, some of the sad times, his relationship with his wife, as well as his relationship with a courtesan, and it details a lot of the issues he had with friends, with family, and so on. Shen Fu had many different but very fascinating aspects to his life. He was a government clerk, essentially a secretary for a much more powerful magistrate. He was a fairly loving husband, an unsuccessful tradesman, amateur painter, and perhaps a bit too trusting for his own good sometimes. To put things in perspective, while these were written, around the early 1800s or so, the Napoleonic Wars were still raging in Europe. When you read some of these writings, they're translated into English, sure, but some of Shen Fu's domestic difficulties, some of the hardship he's encountering, plus this general feeling of dissatisfaction with his life really comes across. He feels a lot of lost potential, he feels he could have done more, there's a lot of regret and a lot of wishing things were better. Considering how the Qing Dynasty was for a lot of Han Chinese, it's completely understandable. During this period, the Qing Dynasty is becoming completely corrupt, and basically it's circling the drain, because in a few decades, the British and the French are about to kick open the doors and start selling opium. So, the period of China getting exploited by foreign powers is just a couple decades in the future, and China's been falling behind the rest of the world technologically. So, it's not a very happy circumstance that he's writing these in as well, if you follow some of the history at all. That said, though, the translated accounts are fairly short. The Penguin Classics, which I'm using, is less than 150 pages. There's a lot of notes that detail some of the concepts and some of the social structure and some of the works that Shen Fu references or alludes to in his writings. That said, though, this offers a very unique perspective on historical China. It's one that I find very interesting and very fascinating. He's not some major general, a philosopher, or an imperial court official. He's a lowly scrivener, essentially, for a much more powerful person. He's not having the happiest life. He's not having the worst one either. There are some bright spots in it, but it's still very interesting to read. And Shen Fu is a fairly easy guy to feel sorry for or empathize with. Thankfully, though, there are just enough bright spots in his life to keep him reading like some Qing Dynasty Travis Bickle or something. So, if you'd like to learn more about ancient China from someone who was there, check this book out. That said, I hope to see you next time, here at the School of Night.